What's going on, gamers? It's your boy Richie Bond, bringing you my week 5 team builder for my CGC Draft League matchup versus Hey Boy Blue and the new Jersey Jirachis. This week turns out to be pretty similar to a week that I did previously, which was the Toronto Tinkerton that's coached by Juggernaut HQ, for reasons that I'll get into in just a moment. Let's just start by breaking down what Hey Boy Blue has on their draft. For an A tier, they have Grimmsnarl. Grimmsnarl is just one of the best supports just in the game, period, but Draft League enables you to run a lot of sets that it doesn't usually see in standard competitive VGC play. Its attack stats honestly great, its bulk is good all around, fantastic typing, it's a really solid mon. I expect Blue to bring this as Prankster most weeks, but Frisk is super handy in a closed team sheet Draft League format, so I wouldn't be surprised to see Frisk either. Not sure if Pickpocket really works or not, but really good mon. It has to be respected, it's just insanely strong. Sylveon's one of the best fairy types that's available. You're going to see Pixelate a majority of the time. It's powerful, Hyper Voice, Throat Spray. It is a little one note, but you could do kind of cute supporty things for it. But if you do that, then you're kind of losing out on the potential that Spread Hyper Voice has with Pixelate. It's really powerful, so I expect to see that set if this mon comes. Armarouge, what an iconic mon for Gen 9. Really powerful. You can tell that I was running some speed calcs to make sure that I can outpace this in certain situations. It's really freaking good. It has two really good abilities. It sets Trick Room really well. It's strangely bulky, especially on the physical side. It's really powerful. Armor Cannon is a special fire type close combat. It's really strong. Its typing is honestly kind of good too. The Psychic isn't really doing it any favors, but like it's a strong mon. This is very powerful. Have to respect it a lot. Strong special fire and psychic type damage. I don't know if you could run it as a support. Does it get Will-O-Wisp? I'm not concerned if it does. It does. You could do some cheeky things, but again, it's kind of like Sylveon. If you're not running this offensive, I think you're missing out. I think there's a lot of potential there on that end. Here's Bisharp, the mon that got buffed in Gen 9 because King Gambit was introduced. Now you can run this thing with Eviolite. Fun fact, I'm pretty sure Eviolite Bisharp doesn't actually outbulk King Gambit because King Gambit just has that much more HP. But that being said, it's a nice option to have. Like, Bisharp was never bad on its own. Like, of all the Pokemon to get an evolution, Bisharp definitely didn't need it. However, it doesn't mind. It just helps it out, if anything. It's really strong. Dark Steel, kind of pairing with Sylveon and Grimmsnarl to make a pseudo fantasy core. We'll see if they end up having a dragon type or not. Bisharp's really good, especially like you see Armarouge and you think Indeedee and Psychic Terrain, but there's no Psychic Terrain on this team, at least not manually, or automatically. I don't think there's any manual Psychic Terrain either. So like Sucker Punch being a key part of Bisharp's kit isn't really a problem because we're not really doing Psychic Terrain things on this team. So really cool, really strong mon. You can hit on the special side for a lot of damage. Its HP is kind of low too, but it's powerful. You have to respect it. And Defiant for teams that have Intimidate like me could be kind of annoying. Speaking of Intimidate, Water Tauros. These new Tauros forms are really cool. They're really strong. Unfortunately, we won't be able to face the fire one that's in the other division with the Glimwood Glimmets, but this is a really super sick mon. It has 3 good abilities. You're probably going to say Intimidate the most, but Cut You like could be cool on like a bulky one. It's strong. I don't really know what else to say. Its stat distribution is like perfect. The fact that it has like no special attack and everything else is like reasonably good. This is a really cool mon, both offensively and support wise. It doesn't get Will-O-Wisp, obviously, like the fire type variant, so I'm not sure what kind of supportive capabilities it has, but it's good. It's a good mon. It's very strong, so I'm gonna have plans for it. And note that this is probably one of the fastest mons on Blue's team. I think it's the fastest one that we've looked at so far, is 100 base speed, so keep that in mind. Everything else has been like 60, 70, 80 and whatnot. Electros was not an original draft. Electros was picked up later, I think, in exchange for Cyclizar, or I should say Cyclizar in exchange for Electros. I love Electros, one of my favorite mons. It's really cool. I think it's really strong in Draft League because you can see that its stats are really balanced across the board. It really likes Trick Room, and it seems like this team has some really good Trick Room options, some stuff it can do with that. It's just cool. It's bulky. You can run it physical or special or both. You can do kind of supportive stuff with it with Thunder Wave. It's neat. It has no weaknesses. That kind of makes it a bad Terra candidate because it doesn't really want to tear into anything, but you can Terra Electric and then it's good. I respect Electros a lot. Here's Cryogonal. Cryogonal is really cool. This is one of the few mons that you could get cheap in the draft that gets Haze, which is really nice. And offensive Freeze Dry is excellent. The distribution on Freeze Dry isn't super big. It's immensely specially bulky, but physically bulky, it has none. So if you can target it on the physical side, it pretty much just goes down. And being an Ice type is bad for it again, but like in Gen 9, you can change your type, and Ice types love changing their type because Ice is a bad type to be. So this is a really cool mon. I don't think it's hit the field in any weeks yet, but I have to respect it because it's cool and strong and neat. I don't think Scythers hit the field either. Scyther is cool. It's a pretty bad typing, but it has decent damage, has good setup options. You could give it an Eviolite, and it's actually kind of bulky, 80 and 80 each with 70 HP. Like, invest in that HP, and I don't know, does this thing get Tailwind? I think it does, yeah. So, like, it's a Tailwind setter, right? it does some things. And again, this and Cryogonal have the same speed, and 105 is the highest we've seen. Keep note of that. That's important. Giraffe Rig, I love Giraffe Rig. It's great. Again, it got buffed by the introduction of an evolution. It has Farigiraf now. So, it's funny that there's so many mons on this team that could use Eviolite, but that's kind of nice. It's great for bulk options, right? It's cool. It's a good mod. Normal Psychic's a fun typing. I think those types do kind of complement each other, because then you lose your fighting weakness, it becomes neutral, and then you're immune to Ghost, which is nice for Psychic. So overall, it's a good type. Good abilities. Cool mon. It's not super strong, but it does a lot of support kind of things. So I just think that's really neat. I think there's a mon missing here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I forgot to plug in Spiritomb. Spiritom's funny one to forget, because Spiritomb is probably like the most prevalent member of Blue's team lately. As far as the weeks that have been shown so far, Spiritomb has been like a key piece, and I think the reason for that is Trick Room. As I was alluding at earlier, the fastest Pokemon on this team is base 105, and everything else is kind of middling. I wouldn't say it's all slow. The slowest thing is for sure Spiritomb, but it's all kind of middling, and they're all kind of bulky, so that's important. Take note of that. Blue has been running this with Will-O-Wisp, just your go-to either physical or special dark move, and ghost move. I mean, or both, or one or the other. It doesn't really matter. This thing's really bulky. The HP's low, but you're gonna fully invest in that for sure. Yeah, this is kind of the crux of Blue strategy, in my opinion. I think it's the most important mon, so we have to have a plan to take it out. With all of that being reviewed, let's take a look at what I'm going to be bringing. All right, here's what I'm bringing to week 5 versus Hey Boy Blue. So as I was saying before, I have to be really, really careful about Spiritomb. Spiritomb seems to be the crux of the strategy. And you'll see right off the bat, there's several mons that just kind of are made to deal with it. I'm bringing mixed Iron Valiant. I'm doing Hasty Nature, so that's minus defense, which is already pretty low, but I have a Focus Sash, so it doesn't really matter. I was talking about speed a lot, and I think that this matchup is going to be similar to the Toronto Tinkerton, because I have some fast mons. I have Dragapult and Iron Valiant. I'm not bringing Dragapult, but I have 2 mons that are just like super fast, and if teams don't have speeds that eclipse like 115, they're gonna have to do some, I like force them to do a speed control to deal with them. Iron Valiant's really strong, especially this mixed one, and with these moves, Moonblast hits everything super duper hard, except for a couple mons, one of them being Bisharp, which Brick Break just totally smacks, and Grimmsnarl's probably burning screens if it comes, so Brick Break is double useful in that situation. And Poison Jab helps me hit Sylveon, who otherwise doesn't take much damage from Moonblast. So I have just kind of this core offensive piece with Iron Valiant with the Sash. It's gonna be good. I can throw it on the field, and it just forces Blue to just figure it out, right? It immediately threatens Spiritomb, which is great, and it forces a Terra out of it if it wants to survive a double up. So like Valiant, this is Valiant's best matchup probably in the whole league, for as far as the Naraha division. We're bringing Pachirisu again. Pachirisu sets aren't going to change very much. I'm a little nervous about this one because I don't have Super Feint or any like actual damaging moves. But in that situation, I'm just going to spam follow me, right? The idea here is that I'm not bringing a lot of speed control of my own, but if I prevent Trick Room and I'm worried about speed things, I can just spread Nuzzles around. And also the fact that Pachirisu naturally outspeeds the majority of Blue's team, I can just spread Nuzzle, and like that's really annoying, and the volatility I think is going to help me a lot. Volt Absorb could come into play if Electros comes, but I kind of don't expect it. We're bringing Citrus Berry, and we have the Flying Terra type for side Earthquake shenanigans, which we might see in a minute. I'm bringing Braviary. Braviary's great. I think this is a really good matchup for it. I'm bringing White Herb for a couple reasons. One, there's Tauros with Intimidate, and I have Defiance, so if Tauros hits the field, like I'm probably going to open with Braviary. It depends on what it looks like, but I think it's a good opener. Tauros hits the field, I lose the drop from the Intimidate, and I just keep the +2, and then I can just like run through his team. Roost is there for longevity. This is already a pretty bulky set, but it's pretty fast too. Brave Bird, close combat, and I have Whirlwind. You might think that you want Tailwind, but I'm thinking that like with Nuzzle, I think I have enough speed control of my own that I can kind of figure things out. So Whirlwind is here for if I'm expecting like, if there's no redirection, which I don't think Blue has, there might be Fake Out, so I'll have to be prepared for that, but I can, if Spiritomb is the crux of the strategy, like I think it is, I can Whirlwind it, and that Whirlwind goes before Trick Room because Trick Room is the lowest priority. They're forced out, and then they're just kind of like stuck, which is great. Especially if I pull in a Tauros, Braviary matches well into Tauros. And Terra Flying, just for boosted Brave Birds, and it makes me eat close combats from Tauros, which is really great because I want to be using this thing in front of Tauros. So I like Braviary this week a lot. I might regret not having Tailwind, but I don't think I will. And up next is kind of part of the reason why I have my own Trick Room. I figured if Blue is going to be doing Trick Room kind of things, I should just do it myself as well. This isn't negative speed or anything because I'm not doing my own Trick Room, and Spiritomb hits base 35 and Bronzong hits base 33. So, I could be underspeeding it, but I'm also not too worried about Spiritomb in general. Like, I have so many things for Spiritomb, I don't want to hyper focus on dealing with Spiritomb, although I kind of said I was going to do that. Anyways, it's bulky, it's careful nature, it's Terra Steel. I guess it doesn't have to be Terra Steel, it could have been anything else, but yeah, boosted Iron Heads lose the weakness to Spiritomb's Shadow Ball and stuff. I think Steel's a good Terra type for it. Iron Defense Body Press with leftovers, it just seems good because like Grimmsnarl doesn't threaten it, Sylveon doesn't threaten unless it goes Terra Fire, and most of Blue's team is physical, and I can just Iron Defense Body Press them and with leftovers, and it just seems like a really good stall piece that can position really well into opposing Trick Room. Crocodile, this is a great matchup for Crocodile. Crocodile's kind of the MVP of the Colorado Crimorants at this point. I like Terra Poison a lot here because the only thing that threatens Crocodile like really is the fairy type moves, and so Poison lets me swap over to that, and then being Dark Ground is really threatening for Armor Rouge, so I just think it's great. We're bringing Assault Vest because, again, I'm mostly worried about his special attackers. Don't really care about his physical attackers. I didn't feel like bringing Intimidate because I kind of just want to rush through this team like I did, or like I tried to against the New England Nidokings. So Moxie kind of gives me that like cleanup potential, that sweeping potential. Earthquake, Crunch, Stomping Tantrum, and Gunk Shot. Gunk Shot's great because it smacks Grimmsnarl and Sylveon, and if I'm Terra Poison, it gets a boost. So like that's a really cool move. I'm stoked to be bringing this Crocodile set, even though it doesn't look that different than other Crocodiles I've brought. I think it's really neat. Last but not least is the Throat Spray Pyroar. This is a classic set. This is really strong into Armor Rouge. Armor Rouge is forced to go for Psychic moves into it, and I have Terra Dark, which is great. My natural Fire type helps me resist Hyper Voice from Sylveon, and I'm faster than both of them, and I can just click Snarl, and I get the Throat Spray boost, they become weak, and then I spam Hyper Voice, and it's kind of GG. So Pyroar's in a really good spot this matchup. Unnerve is cool. I could definitely see a Roselli Berry being on Spiritomb, and if I lead with Valiant Pyroar and I go with like Moonblast Snarl just to like ruin their lead, that puts me in such a good position. And I don't know if Blue's gonna bring any berries, but like Citrus Berries probably on there somewhere, and having Unnerve is just really great for that. I think this team's really good. I'm really looking forward to this match. I'm going to be having it in just a few minutes, but you won't see the video of it until tomorrow. So if you're excited for that, please leave a like, leave a comment, talk about what you're most excited for, which of these sets that you like the most. Would you recommend any changes? It's not going to happen because the battle's going to be done by the time that you watch this, but if you were to make some changes, what would you be doing with my draft? Thank you so much for watching. Can't wait to show you the battle tomorrow.